wrestling fans. This is Tom Colohue here with another news video for you on a very sunny day in Blackpool. I've been out trying to tan, but I'm a bit too Irish to do anything but burn. So let's get straight into the news with some information more about Drake Maverick, a bit about Kurt Angle, and even a bit about Summerslam and Brock Lesnar. Starting with NXT news, Kurt Angle's NXT appearance as a special guest referee in the fight pit between Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher was a one-off thing. It was not a new contract, it was simply a fulfillment of a contractual obligation. I have been told now that Kurt Angle is fully done with the company and will be moving on to other things. I wish Kurt Angle all the best in everything he does next, because I've got to say he's given me some great entertainment over the years. Similarly to that, Drake Maverick's initial appearances as part of the NXT Cruiserweight Championship tournament were originally contractual obligations, but have now started to move into a completely different element. He's now had more matches than originally he was slated for. The triple threat match, not the initial plan, and in fact reaching the final, not the initial plan. This spells very good things for the potential of Drake Maverick getting a new contract with the WWE if in fact both parties are happy to make that happen. It's not just about the company offering him one. He may decide not to take it. There are a number of NXT talent who will be debuting on Raw or SmackDown in the coming weeks. Some of them have been leaked already. Some of them will remain surprises, at least for now. One of the most prominent ones that's been released, the information has been leaked, has been Matt Riddle, of course, who had a vignette recorded ready for SmackDown that he recorded earlier in the week. Whether or not that will be this week, hard to say. There will be a lot spread out at this point. I personally think we will build towards the pay-per-view without introducing too many new names. And of course, some people cannot be introduced or debut on Raw or SmackDown until they have fulfilled their obligations at the NXT In Your House pay-per-view. So it may be a little while. Don't rush. You may get some surprises in there. Many of the call-ups in question were in fact planned long-term, even as far back as January, February, when they were initially laying out who would be moved in the shake-up that was scheduled for after WrestleMania that didn't in fact happen. But a lot of NXT people, I was told earlier in the year and reported on Sportskeeda, were going to be moving up to Raw and SmackDown, or at least moving sideways. That plan hasn't changed for them, however there have been quite a few additional names now that will be used to cover for any releases that have happened. One interesting tidbit about the upcoming In Your House pay-per-view, Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream, who are planning to have the NXT Championship match, were told very late in the day when their match was to be recorded. By now it should have been recorded, and it certainly looks like an unusual match is going to be coming our way. Certainly not something they've really done for a long time, probably since back, properly done, since the Shamrock and Owen Hart days. Or I believe Shamrock and Lethal Weapon Steve Blackman may have also had one, but those are all the clues I'll be giving. Moving on to main roster, as it were, news. I'll start with Raw. Seth Rollins has been speaking recently about growing his faction, and he has pitched a number of names to WWE management. I can't imagine all of those names. I surely won't ever know all of the names that have been pitched. I'm sure we'll hear about them in interviews in future, but I'm very excited to see who we get, because he does have a interesting benchmark of talent who are very talented people but really don't have the experience at this level. He's a very experienced man himself and he has a lot to offer, but it'll be interesting to see who comes next. He has pitched a number of names. In news for the summer, around August time, the WWE, now with everything changing as per state by state, as per the COVID-19 pandemic, the WWE feeling optimistic that August might be in time to have crowds back and have a show at an arena. Brock Lesnar has been penciled in for an appearance if they are able to open in time for Summerslam. We may be seeing the Beast incarnate back sooner than we think. Moving on to SmackDown, I asked a contact at Fox what they thought of the Matt Riddle rumours and whether or not they would look forward to working with him to try and get a bit more information there. They said at the time, Matt Riddle is a very marketable man and they would love to work with him. Keeping the cards close to the chest on that one. In news that won't surprise anyone now, I unfortunately waited a bit too long to break this one, Bray Wyatt has been given time off for the birth of his second child. That child has now been born. He posted a picture on Twitter, go say hi. and he's expected to have a few more weeks off to self-isolate again afterwards, and then will probably return to continue his feud as The Fiend with Braun Strowman. It's nice every now and then they're able to give people some time off, even though they don't have that full roster at the moment. The shows have been good regardless. Finally, and this is a bit of a random one that I've only heard from one source so far, so I will be researching this further. Even though the deal has not gone through yet, Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia Mohammed bin Salman has put forward a rather substantial deal to buy a British football club called Newcastle, which if you are from the UK you'll be well aware of them, and are quite a few wrestling journalists who are big fans of that club. The deal has not quite yet gone through, there are some checks to happen beforehand, and of course with everything going on right now it's hard to make deals like that. However, bin Salman has apparently already been putting out financial feelers to see whether or not it may be profitable to get a WWE show sponsored by Saudi Arabia in that stadium. Would you be interested in a show in Newcastle, England? Obviously, with the deal not yet concluded, no commercial enterprise at that stadium can be undertaken by the government and the royal family of Saudi Arabia. So until that time, this story has no legs whatsoever. It's very much still in the rumour phase. But I just thought I'd share because it's quite an interesting one. In a bit of a new segment, because a lot of information that I put on here doesn't really make headlines. For example, 6 days ahead of time I reported here that WrestleMania would be at an empty arena. I do want to focus on some things that have been proven right already from the previous videos. Sometimes I will report something that it will take months in advance to actually be proven right. For example, AJ Styles to SmackDown, or for example, Sasha Banks taking time off because of essentially taking a mental health break, which was reported in June and confirmed in November. So bit of a break there. But the things that have been proven right, I do just want to highlight. The first one, probably something I've referenced a bit earlier, Drake Maverick having the booking change. There were no expectations that he was going to be booked as he was, but they created the triple threat format to suit Drake Maverick, and the fact that he now has won that match goes to prove what I've been saying, that they are really amping him up with a view to potentially signing a new contract for him. Keep pushing, keep trying to make it happen. They are actually listening on this one. In addition to that, I mentioned something about the third hour of last week's Raw having a ratings drop. The WWE were looking at the axe throwing contest between the Profits and the Raiders as one of the potential reasons. The golf segment was moved to much earlier this week. In addition, I mentioned that Edge and Orton would go from the front of the show to the third hour, and we had a promo from Edge and a promo from Ric Flair about Randy Orton in that third hour. That's all the news I have. If you want to hear more from me, my colleague Rick Ucchino has an article out on Sportskeeda where I, as part of a panel of pro wrestling journalists in an Ask the Expert style, talk about who I would like to see retire The Undertaker when he does choose to retire. That may be something you like. If not, there are plenty more videos here on YouTube now. I had a conversation with my colleague Corey Guns, also of Sportskeeda, about The Undertaker as the greatest pro wrestler in the world. And also, I recently, even just yesterday, did a video about the argument as to who is better, WWE or AEW, and why that's something for the fans that management don't seem to care very much about. Please do like the video for more content like this. Subscribe, because I have 8,500 followers on Twitter and only about 230 subscribers here, so please do subscribe, it helps me immensely. I have been Tom Colohue, and thank you very much for watching.